To start this year. Very odd to see him hitting in the 250s with only 4 stolen bases. He didn't like the first strike call by Marvin Hudson, but finds himself down at 0-1. Reyes does not yet have a hit on this Mets road trip, and he's 0-2.
As we talked about in our opening comments, Chip, this is a team of very good individual ball players, but sometimes they don't play well together.
And I don't know how you fix that.
Get a bigger sandbox, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Reyes is a part of their long-term future. Beltran, one of the great stars in the game. Delgado, still under contract for big bucks. David Wright, cornerstone at third base. Castillo's got 3 years and $18 million left on a contract the Mets gave him.
That everybody raised their eyebrows at last year.
Breaking ball popped up into shallow right. That's the Sun Field. Haven't been able to say that in Atlanta much lately. And Jeff Francoeur handles that, and Reyes hits it in the air. That's a good sign. 1 out.
Here's the rest of the defense in the outfield with Jeff Francoeur tonight. Over in left field is Brandon Jones. Good to see him out there again. Jordan Schaefer in center. Third to first, you'll see that Kelly Johnson's back in the lineup. Casey Kochman at first. David Ross doing the catching for Javi Vasquez.
And so Daniel Murphy stands in, hitting a robust .320, 3 homers and 11 runs batted in. Never has been a question about Murphy at the plate.
These guys, I'm sorry, Chip, these guys have such a good top of the order. Last year, a modern major league record run differential in the first 3 innings.
But Schaefer takes care of Murphy. 2 fly ball outs start this game.
I mean, a plus 155 runs in the first 3 innings for the Mets last year. At present day, +2. That is a ridiculous adjustment just through a month. They are really struggling at the top of the order, but what an incredible number there for their guys at the top of the order, essentially, and the work they did in the first 3 innings.
Well, one guy that isn't struggling is this man, Carlos Beltran, a 14-game hit streak. As you mentioned, leads the league in hitting at .391. It's hard to say for a player that plays every day in New York to be an unassuming superstar, but I think that really applies to Carlos Beltran. Where are all of his endorsements? Where is all the national publicity for all the stuff he does on the field?
One of the things they want him to do in New York is do the stuff on the field he's capable of, and this year he's beginning to prove it. But I think he appears to be so nonchalant and so easygoing that they don't see the fire in him that they were hoping to see when he came to New York.
Well, that's been a big issue for Omar Minaya. That's been the source of controversy, I guess, this past week, when he was quoted on FoxSports.com saying his team didn't have an edge, didn't have an angry side. And David Wright took exception to that. He didn't think that that was an accurate portrayal of the way his team plays. He felt that they play very hard. They just don't always play well, as Beltran walks with 2 outs. But when your general manager says your team doesn't play with fire, I'm sure that's something that shouldn't be or wouldn't be received very well in the locker room.
No, I would think that would get everybody's attention, and maybe there was a point to that. That Omar Minaya was trying to set a fire under him. Maybe they have become fat cats, as it were, with respect to the money that's been invested in them and the high hopes they've had for this team.
They are the only major league team, are these Mets, with a September lead of at least 3 games in 2 straight years not to make the postseason. And that's still part of the bitter aftertaste these last couple of years. And that goes back to the point you made very well, I think, in our open. At some point, don't you have to change the mix of players? And certainly don't you have to say the general managers had something to do with this club?
Could be. Could be.
I mean, Willie Randolph's already been a fall guy for them.
He definitely was a fall guy for them, and they've had everything at their beck and call in terms of financial support too.
Carlos Delgado making just his 2nd at bat since April 26th. He's had a very sore hip. He took a cortisone shot in that hip. And despite 3 homers and 16 RBIs, his average around .250. The Braves, as they normally do with Delgado, play him as a pull hitter on the infield.
We've got a couple of examples to cite here, Chip, with respect to the play of the New York Mets, and it involves Carlos Beltran not sliding. He didn't slide here on the 22nd. He was called out. Doesn't slide against Oakland. For what reason? Who knows? Got to get your uniform dirty, especially if you're supposed to be one of the leaders of this ball club.
So the Mets at 10-13 to start the year. Second best batting average in the league. Middle of the pack with runs scored. They steal a lot of bases. They play in a beautiful new ballpark, a broadcaster's nightmare, Citi Field. But other than Johan Santana, they can't get many people out. So it's been an interesting month plus so far for the Mets. Delgado takes a late called third. Vasquez has his first of the young game. Delgado complains. No score after half inning.
Kelly Johnson at the top of the order, who's played quite well at home this year, a .345 average here at Turner Field. He'll be followed by Escobar and Chipper Jones, Kochman, Francoeur, and then Brandon Jones. Ross, Schaefer, and Vasquez round out the order against John Maine, big, tall, lanky right-hander for the Mets. 1-2 on the year, and he's coming off a very good start against Florida. 6 innings of 1 hit baseball. He gave up 1 unearned run, but before that it was awful. 15 2/3 innings, 16 hits, and 13 runs. Trying to make it back-to-back good starts.
Jumps on the first pitch, does Kelly, and skies it to Murphy in left. He has had some adventures out there, but handles his first chance of the night very cleanly for the game's first out. Kelly now 6 for his last 44 at the plate. There is Daniel Murphy. 2 errors already this season for the Mets. He's dropped a couple of fly balls. It cost a chance for Johan Santana to win a game early this season in Miami. He can hit, but learning the tools of the trade in left this year. Strike Escobar.
Yeah, he's learning on the job in left field, and it is an adventure. Getting instructions now from Razor Shines, the third base coach, defensively for Escobar. John Maine's got a good fastball, Chip. He's in the low 90s. The last pitch was 93. He's got a good over-the-top breaking pitch and a changeup. Lifetime 2-3 against Atlanta with a 5 ERA. But there are the differences in his first 3 starts and that last one.
Maine last year had all kinds of problems with his shoulder. Had surgery on September 30th to remove a Bennett lesion. Escobar down on strikes. There's your second out of the first inning.
And here's the defense for the Mets. Showed you Daniel Murphy. Of course, Beltran in center. And Ryan Church. Very good. And underrated player, if that's possible for a player playing in New York. Wright, Reyes, Castillo, and Delgado from third to first, and Ramon Castro, the catcher.
Chipper Jones hits with 2 out and nobody aboard. And a quick strike to him. You know, Chipper's chomping at the bit, loves to face the Mets. And we'll see how he fares in their new ballpark when the Braves wrap up their upcoming road trip.
He was swinging the bat really well in batting practice. It's like his thumb is feeling a lot better. Throwing that top hand when he's batting left-handed a little better. Pretty good career numbers against the Mets, wouldn't you say?
I would say that's real good work. I'm really looking forward to seeing the new ballpark on Friday. The reports are spectacular. It is not a hitter-friendly park.
No.
But beautiful. Very fair. Very big.
And one thing that's very important to you and I, they say the food's great.
Yeah, well, that's very important. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Full count.
He tried to throw the same pitch Vasquez threw Delgado in the top half of the inning. A little backdoor breaking ball. Didn't get the call.
And Chipper spoiled a tough pitch on the outer half.
More and more teams, Chip, are beginning to play Chipper like this defensively on the infield when he's batting left-handed. They're really giving him the third base line. Shortstop's cheating up the middle, like you see Reyes there. David Wright almost over where the shortstop should be.
Spoils another pitch.
And they keep throwing him outside. Chipper's going to serve one to left field.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. How tempting is that to change your approach and give what the defense gives you with 2 outs?
Sure, why not? Take the single.
Instead, he takes a walk. Boy, they've been doing that a lot to him. They went after him, but Chipper walks for the 14th time already this year. And he's aboard in front of Casey Kochman. Still looking for that first home run of the season for the Braves with 4 RBIs. And now Castro wants to talk things over with Maine. He got 2 very quick outs. All of a sudden now a little skitterish with his control.
But you're talking about Kochman not having a homer, and that's not all that surprising to me at this point because he's not going to hit a ton of homers. What is surprising, you look over the Mets side of the ledger, David Wright only has 1. Ryan Church only has 1. That's kind of surprising to me. Those guys hit homers.
How much of that is a function of the new park?
Could be.
Don't know. And I think that's in the case of the Yankees and Mets. Sure, it's great to have a new stadium, but in many ways it's a home field disadvantage. You really don't know how the park's going to play until the weather warms up. Ball 2 to Kochman. 2 balls and a strike. Maine will issue walks. He's walked 12 men in 21 and 2/3 innings coming into play tonight. That's the pitch they called Delgado out on.
Yeah, I thought Marvin Hudson had a real generous zone to start the game.
High fly ball to right. Church going back, still going back at the wall. Just enough room. Another biscuit for breakfast, and that would have been in the bullpen. No such luck, no score. Braves and Mets after 1 at home.
Solid. Javi Vasquez, among the best strikeout to walk ratio in the National League. He's third behind Dan Herron and Josh Johnson, averaging 5 1/4 strikeouts to every walk he issues. Not too bad. Dan Herron, by the way, 43 innings, 47 strikeouts, and only 7 walks to lead the league.
David Wright starts things off for the Mets in the second inning of play. Wright hitting .284, but they have to be alarmed, Joe, with the 27 strikeouts already amassed.
Bad start for him. You know, the thing that I always think about with David Wright is he has power the other way, good power to straightaway right field, but looking at his hits, a predominant number to left field, so maybe he's gotten a little pull happy.
The Braves have a standard defensive alignment on the infield, but look at where Jordan Schaefer is playing David Wright in center in the Atlanta outfield.
Yeah, he's lined up the other side of the second baseman, or the second base bag, shading into right center. Maybe they're going to pitch him that way.
Wasted outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Of Wright's 22 hits, only 5 have been hit to right field. Power numbers really off.
Again, is that a product of 12 games in a new ballpark that's bigger than Shea?
Hard to say just yet. I mean, maybe so, but I'm sure the Mets are just trying to figure out how it plays.
3-2. 28 strikeouts, 2 in a row for Vasquez. Good old country hardball right there. Here it is.
Just fastball. Outer third of the plate. Great pitch. Tough pitch to hit if you're trying to pull the ball. It looked like he was.
And Ryan Church bats. He's off to a 3-0-1 start. A home run, 8 RBIs. His season last year came to a grinding halt right in this ballpark. We might recall that Yunel Escobar inadvertently kneed him while Church was sliding in to try to break up a double play, and concussions were a big problem for Church in the second half of the year, and his absence, I think, was a big loss for the Mets.
Yeah, I think he'd already taken a hit, or he'd crashed into the wall in spring training before the season began last year, so that collision with Escobar added to it. He's a good player, and I like him a lot. He may just be a platoon player, but solid, tough out at the plate.
No balls, 2 strikes. And now 1-2 to Ryan Church.
All of these guys have much better numbers on the road, Chip. Average wise, team average of 292 versus 276 at home, which is already beginning to be indicative perhaps of Citi Field.
Grounded toward Kochman at first. He'll vacuum that up. 2 outs.
And with 2 outs, fans, it's time for the know-how question of the game, built by the Home Depot. And if you have a question, send us an email, and if chosen, we'll answer it later in the game. Send your email to braves@peachtreetv.com. Please tell us your name and where you're from. And remember, more saving, more doing. That's the power of Home Depot.
Oh, well, let me ask you that. Moving into a new ballpark, or you get traded and you play your home games in a different environment, how tough an adjustment is that for a hitter? And how long does it take you to get used to your new surroundings?
I think it's more of an adjustment defensively.
Really?
Yeah, I do. There might be some, well, just because you're trying to learn all the idiosyncrasies of the ballpark and how close the wall is to the field, how the dirt plays, how the outfield fence plays if you're an outfielder. Plus, I'm pretty sure, I'm certain, that Citi Field faces a different direction than Shea Stadium faced. So you're going to get a little bit different prevailing wind at times. And hitting wise, you're right. Maybe the batter's eye's a little different. Might be tough to pick the ball up. Certainly was for Castro right there.
Yeah, 3 pitches. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. 3 up, 3 down in the Mets second.
Take a look at the Piedmont Hospital injury report, and those are the right people I want around me if I've got an injury, especially the folks at Piedmont. Get the perfect balance of health and care at Piedmont Hospital, the preferred health care provider of the Atlanta Braves. Visit PiedmontHospital.org. Two guys on the right, close to coming off the DL. Tom Glavine, good news there. He's not feeling any pain as he threw off the mound today for the first time in 2 weeks. Jorge Campillo, eligible to come off the disabled list today, but was not activated. But good signs there for his return as well.
And we hope coming to the ballpark will indeed be a habit for you as Jeff Francoeur leads things off for Atlanta in
very nice.
The second inning scoreless. 284 his average, 3 homers, and 17 driven in. You look at Jeff's line, and nothing really jumps out at you. I mean, very consistent, very solid numbers. But the one line on his stat sheet that pops out at you, 8 strikeouts.
Among the league leaders and toughest to fan.
And at one point, he was tougher to strike out than Albert Pujols of the Cardinals.
Maine might have telegraphed that off-speed pitch, slowed his arm action down some, and Francoeur picked up on it enough to foul it off.
Right now, Jeff, the 9th toughest guy in the league to strike out. James Loney of the Dodgers has struck out once every 22 at bats, and that's why. Fought off a couple of real tough pitches and then whacks a pitch into right center field for a leadoff hit.
And what we've been talking about all spring, Chip, watch his hands. A pitch down, but he kept his hands inside the baseball and just took the bat to the ball. Didn't try to do anything with this pitch except hit it back through the middle. That's his 10th hit when he's had 2 strikes on him. Outstanding.
So Brandon Jones' job, get Jeff Francoeur into scoring position. Brandon has started a couple of times for the Braves. He's 3 for 11 in those starting assignments. And just to reinforce your point, Garrett Anderson expected to be back tomorrow as he comes back from his quad injury. Garrett, by the way, contrary to what you may have read in some of the wire reports or in the newspaper here in Atlanta, did not refuse a rehab assignment. Bobby Cox usually gives veteran players the option as to whether or not they need to go out on a rehab stint. And he asked Garrett, do you need one? And Garrett said, no, I really don't. I feel like I'm fine. I can get my work done here at the ballpark and be ready to go tomorrow. So there was no confusion. There was no disagreement. There was no refusal by Garrett Anderson to go to Gwinnett.
A lot of difference in those two. Being offered an option and then refusing an assignment.
Well,
there's a lot of difference in that in terms of the way it was reported. So I'm glad to know personally that it was something that they had worked out already.
3-0 the count. There's that Maine lack of control. 2 walks in the game, 2 on, and nobody out.
Well, that's the problem with Oliver Perez and why he was sent to the bullpen, because he can't throw strikes. And they got real frustrated, did the Mets, and Dan Warthen, their pitching coach that you just saw in their dugout. Oliver Perez, 21 walks in 21 2/3 innings. He at first said that he would go back to the minor leagues to try to get straightened out. And then he reneged on that decision and said, well, that was kind of in the heat of battle, and now that I've had time to think about it, I think it'd be better if I just stayed here and was in the bullpen.
Meal money's a lot better up here.
Yeah, but where are they going to use him? How do you bring a guy in out of the bullpen that's not throwing strikes?
That's the big question. And remember, the Mets were on the fence as to whether they could sign Derek Lowe. They were deep in the hunt for Derek Lowe, and the Braves swooped in and offered him an extra year of that contract. The Mets were left out in the cold with regards to Lowe, and so they brought back Perez at 3 years and $36 million.
Ow.
But he's too talented to be this bad, I think. I mean, there are times when Oliver Perez has pitched against the Braves, and he looks like a young Sandy Koufax. He just blow away the Braves offense.
Yeah, every time he pitches against Atlanta, he has been dynamite. The Mets starting pitchers ERA last year at the end of the year, a 3.98 ERA. That was 5th best in the league. Right now, 15th in the league, and that's with Johan Santana having a 1.10 ERA. So think about how bad the rest of the guys have been.
6 straight balls from Maine. He's behind 2-0 to Ross. And a generous strike makes it 2-1.
Last year, the Braves just beat the tar out of the Mets here. They won 8 of the 9 games played at Turner Field. And the Atlanta team was 11-7 overall against New York.
Three balls and a strike. Maine pitching himself into big time trouble in this second inning. I mean, you might recall a week ago or so, Jerry Emanuel said, "I'm on the bridge." Not ready to jump, but he had grown tired of all of their Mets starters' troubles. As another walk loads the bases with nobody out. Might see a visit from Dan Warthen. Indeed, we will. But Jerry Emanuel was saying, look, this doesn't change. We're going to give everybody one more start, one more turn through the rotation. And if that doesn't improve, we're going to see some different names and different faces in that starting 5.
Kind of hung an ultimatum on everybody.
Yeah.
Mike Pelfrey was able to, shortly after that, come out with a good start. And then Maine had his good outing against Florida, beating them 7-1. But it's a matter of stringing some together that has been a problem so far for the New York starters outside of Santana.
So no place to put Jordan Schaefer. And here's where the Braves at times have really had trouble this year. They get a chance to score. Runner at second, runner at third, less than 2 outs. Got to put the ball in play here.
And they go right back to that same spot that's been problematic for Jordan. Trying to pitch him around the belt and in tight, and with his left wrist still a bit of an issue. It's hard for Jordan to throw that top hand and get it around, get the barrel of the bat around. He has struck out each of his last 4 official times at bat, but you know what? It seems like every time he has a game where he strikes out 3 times, as he did yesterday, he comes back with a night where he has 3 hits.
Chokes up a little bit with 2 strikes.
Jordan 0 for 4 and getting a runner home from third with less than 2 outs. Maybe he can change that 0 for right here.
Nope. 1 away in the second, and he was the key man in the inning because the pitcher's up next.
That one was a little bit more out over the plate. Fastball at the knees, tailing back, and the fact that it was down made it a little more hittable. What they've been trying to do to Jordan is pitch him so tight inside that he can't get the hands inside the baseball. Terry Pendleton told me before the game they're working hard to get that corrected and work on it.
Javi Vasquez 0 for 9. Looks at a quick strike.
But as Terry pointed out, with Jordan's wrist bothering him so much, there's a limit to how much extra work you can put in.
It's going to aggravate it, right?
Yeah. A lot of squeeze here. Stay out of a double play.
Rights even with the bag, though. Delgado plays in front of David Ross at first. No sign of a bunt. Little chopper. Going to be tough to turn to, perhaps. And it is. Bad throw, Castillo. Here comes Brandon Jones. It's 2-0.
David Ross. Tip of the cap to David Ross. What a slide. Castillo is trying to help his team out by getting out of the inning, so he hung in there a little bit longer at second base to get this turn. That gave David Ross a chance to just wipe him out and cause the bad throw and earn the Braves another run. Outstanding play by Ross. doing the little things to help you win ball games.
That'll be a fielder's choice. I assume an RBI on Vasquez and perhaps an error on Castillo, allowing Jones to score. We'll see if that indeed is the case. It is. The Braves do break through. 2-0 here in the second.
Here's that play again. You get a little wider shot to see how it all took place. Reyes got the ball quickly to Castillo, but you could see Ross was all over it. By the time Luis was getting ready to get rid of the baseball, David Ross, with a clean slide, took him out.
That is a beautiful baseball play.
It is.
Dirty about it, just the way it's supposed to be done, and not surprisingly, David Ross, who's played a whole lot more these first 5 weeks of the season than perhaps he ever imagined, has more than carried his weight, I think.
I think he's been terrific.
Yeah.
Just an excellent sign. Not a rolling block, a hard slide into the bag, and then he tried to stand up. Another walk.
4 of them. Make him pay, boys. Now David Wright in to talk to Maine. Much different performance for Maine than last time out, when he gave up 1 hit, 3 walks in 6 innings against Florida, and an unearned run. That's it.
I think one thing that veteran players like David Wright do to pitchers like John Maine, that you're trying to get going, is you got to pat them on the back and you got to encourage them to use their good stuff. You know, let us help you. Make them put the ball in play so that we can help you.
Well, that was my next question. Does it seem to you like Maine is trying to induce contact? He gets some here. Vasquez around third. Beltran bobbles. No play at the plate. 3-0 your score.
Well, he decided to make a better pitch there to Escobar. Shattered his bat. It still cost him a run. This was right off the end of the bat. And Beltran might have had a play because it was the pitcher running, but he looked up before he actually had the baseball. He was going to have to make a really strong, accurate throw to get Vasquez, but the bobble helped ease things up a little bit for Javi.
So now a chance for Chipper to hit with a runner in scoring position with 2 outs in the second inning.
Chipper Jones has not had many opportunities this year with runners in scoring position. How about this? 234 players in the majors have more at bats with runners in scoring position than Chipper.
That's amazing. And he just missed. Skied it to left. Murphy gallops in. He's fallen down out there 3 times, but unfortunately not in this second. Braves break through with 3 runs. 3 walks from John Maine certainly helped, and a great slide by Ross too. That on 3 runs, 2 hits. And speaking of wild, John Maine already with 4 bases on balls in rotation for New York. Javi Vazquez starting for the Braves tonight. He's walked 1 but struck out 3, and now goes to work in this 3rd inning with a very comfortable lead.
Yeah, they're going to let him hit for himself, so he's going to stay in the ball game.
And Luis Castillo will start off ahead of him in this 3rd inning. Castillo having a very good start to the year. A .368 average, no homers, and 6 runs driven in. Castillo this past offseason was very remorseful for the way he played in 2008. Very bad year for him. He had knee problems. He was about 15-20 pounds heavier than he is now. In fact, he went to Omar Minaya and Jerry Manuel and apologized for the manner in which he played last season, rededicated himself, and came back looking so good this spring. There was talk of maybe having him lead off instead of Reyes this year. Is that right? Yeah. But now he's hitting 8th, then the pitcher, then Reyes, with a 1-1 count.
I've always thought, and who knows if this is contributing some to Reyes's slow start, both in stealing bases and getting on, and the way they pitch Reyes. But I've always thought he was the prototypical 2 guy, and he was so good at protecting Jose Reyes in the lineup when he batted 2nd for the Mets.
Spoil a lot of pitches, can hit with 2 strikes. We know from his days with the Marlins how dangerous and punishing Castillo could be.
Relatively no power compared to Murphy, and maybe it's just the fact they like his power at the top of the order too, having hit 3 homers already.
A little flare into left. Brandon Jones is on track, and 1 man down for John Maine.
And with 1 out, let's check out the recipients of the Big Smile Seat Upgrade, sponsored by Dr. Deborah Gray King and the Atlanta Center for Cosmetic Dentistry. Man, right there in the front row behind the tarp. Are you kidding me? The Atlanta Center for Cosmetic Dentistry, the place in Atlanta to get a beautiful smile.
Get those kids some cotton candy, for crying out loud. Strike to John Maine, 0-1 your count. Isn't it more fun when you see the fans in the dentistry seats all covered with cotton candy? And
yes.
Stuff. And it's sprayed to the right side. 0-2. There you go.
A candidate for cosmetic dentistry right there.
She's a little bummed out. Dad won't let her have the cotton candy. It's all wrapped up still. What's up with that? 4 strikeouts for Vazquez. Maine hitless on the year, now 0 for 8, 2 away.
If there's a good sign already for Atlanta against these Mets, they have not overcome a deficit of 3 or more runs to win all year, at least in the first month plus.
Yeah, I mean, the back end of their bullpen has worked according to form. K-Rod and Putz have set things up very, very well for them. But again, getting the ball there with the lead has been very much problematic.
And let's face it, that's where they hung all the responsibility for their failures the last 2 years, is on the bullpen. 3-12, I guess they're doing the job.
Yeah. Reyes couldn't check his swing. 0-2 the count. Marty Foster, the umpire at 3rd today, joined by John Hirschbeck and Wally Bell. Marvin Hudson calling the balls and strikes. Good crew. And now a 1-2 count.
Marty having a sunflower seat or 2 as he's relaxed over there umpiring at 3rd.
He too might need cosmetic dentistry if one of those seats gets stuck. Were you a seed guy?
Yeah, I like seeds, sure.
Yeah. There's an art to eating them too, isn't there?
Yes, I put the whole, a big chunk of them in there and just one at a time get them to the front.
Yeah.
Crack them, eat them. Guys who have to do it one at a time
Like the umpire?
Like the umpire. I kind of suspect that they really don't know how to eat them right.
Yeah. Doesn't that hurt, though, to, crack them with your teeth like that?
Not if you've had your front teeth knocked out. You don't feel a thing.
Oh, perfect. Well, that explains it. I don't know if Marty's had that happen, but I'm sure Glenn Diamond will
endeavor.
Ask him if his teeth come out or not. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Glenn asks him everything else. Why not?
Oh, where was that? Might have been a little high. Reyes earns the second Mets walk of the game, and with his speed, he's in scoring position when he's at first base.
Yep, didn't come down for him. Got away from him a little bit.
And again, all the amazing stats about the Mets this year. The fact he only has 4 steals is telling, I think.
How about Carl Crawford yesterday? You got to witness that. 6 swipes.
So did this umpiring crew. They were down in Tampa. Only 4 guys in the last 109 years, the modern era of baseball, have stolen 6 bases in a game.
One of them, Otis Nixon.
Otis Nixon did it. Eric Young did it. And Crawford did it. Eddie Collins.
Eddie Collins did it twice in 1 year.
Wow. Well, I hope that facet of our game comes back. I really do.
Me too. I love it when there's somebody on a team that is going to steal 50 or 60, 70 bases a year, and you know that every time they get on, they're a threat to go. I think it's exciting for the fans. It's exciting for the teams to try to defend it.
Reyes, 80% success rate. It's not really a gamble to send him. But no sign yet as he watches Murphy work the count to 1-1.
Well, while Carl Crawford had that big day yesterday against Jason Varitek, it's a different story when you're trying to steal that many against David Ross, who can flat out throw. If Javi gives him half a chance.
Low and outside, ball 2. That of all the signings that the Braves made, I think the Ross one is probably more underappreciated than anybody can realize. For the point you just made, he hits respectably enough. He calls a terrific game. He throws very well. First the pitch. Now Reyes runs. Got a good jump. There's the throw, and it short hops into and out of the glove of Escobar, and Reyes is safely in with his 5th steal of the year.
Good jump. If it was a good throw, if it was on the fly, they would have gotten him because he overslid the bag. I think he beat the throw, but then he slides past the bag. If he catches the ball on the fly and is able to keep the glove on him, they probably still get him.
Don't know if Murphy had anything to do with distracting Ross on that particular throw, but he does hit left-handed. Ross throws right-handed, and there's some movement there.
Yep.
Full count, 3-2 with 2 outs. Want to welcome the national audience watching us now on ESPN around the country. With Joe Simpson, Chip Carey with you from Turner Field in Atlanta. The Braves have jumped in front of the Mets by a 3-0 score. John Maine with 4 walks, 3 of them in the 2nd inning. Plated all of Atlanta's runs in this game, and now Vasquez having some control issues. He's walked 2 in a row with 2 outs, and now the tying run in the form of the league's leading hitter, Carlos Beltran's coming up.
Not at all what he wanted. He kind of pitched around Beltran in the 1st inning when he walked him, despite the fact that Carlos is 0 for 6 in his career against Vasquez.
Well, here's Beltran, 14-game hitting streak, 15's his career high. He walked in the opening inning. And the history of Vasquez as Ross goes out to talk to him, at least it's been this year with the Braves. There's one inning where you just scratch your head and say, how in the world did that happen?
Yeah, you're right. And it came in one inning against the Cardinals when he got beat 5-3 in his last start when he gave up 4 runs.
But still, Vasquez coming into this ball game tonight. Again, for those of you around the country, 42 strikeouts, 8 walks in 32 innings. A 2-2 Atlanta record.
Beltran's leading the league in hitting at .391, but he's hitting .455 on the road.
That stayed high. Ball 2, 2-0. Delgado waiting next. At the knees. Boy, he needed that pitch. 2-1.
He needed that call, too. It was borderline. No complaints from Beltran, but one that was sinking down and away. And at the knees. That is outstanding. 2-0.
Now he's battled back to even the count at 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Javier has 46 strikeouts now in the year, and as we've said before, Chip, he doesn't do it with any one pitch. He doesn't have one dominating pitch. He's not an overpowering fastball guy and not a super curveball guy or a trick pitch of any kind. He just mixes his pitches well, and like even their 2-1 of the fastball, Beltran was late. Wasn't late on that one.
Squared it up. But the count's still 2 balls and 2 strikes. 5th, as you see, on the all-time active career strikeout list.
And the only one of those guys that's in his 30s. Everybody else in their 40s.
John Smoltz disabled with the Red Sox. Tom Glavine hoping to come back with the Braves. And there's an off-speed beauty. Beltran swung over the top. 5 strikeouts for Vasquez. He continues his shutout bid in Atlanta tonight. Beltran Airways home run inning where one lucky fan will have a chance to win free airfare for 2 if the Braves hit a home run this inning. Visit PeachTreeTV.com/Braves for official rules and enter for your chance to win. Beltran Airways, go. Okay. There's nothing stopping you. Kochman, Francoeur, and Brandon Jones for the Braves. Lead by 3. And wisely, they're just trying to wait out John Maine, who's walked 4 more in this game. balls and a strike. Already 52 pitches now for Maine.
That straps your bullpen when you pitch yourself out of a game because of the pitch count.
Well, we saw the Cardinals come in, and they played very well against this Braves team. They took 2 out of 3. There isn't a guy on that staff that's healthy, at least in the starting staff. It's going to be, as Kochman downs swinging, it's going to light up the radar gun. But all those guys throw a sinker, try to initiate contact, like Derek Lowe, get early outs early in the count, keep your pitch count down, and use your defense behind you. Why doesn't Maine do that?
I think that was a real good comeback for John Maine, going back to David Wright going in to talk to him last inning. Fell behind 3-0. Maybe a reminder, trust your stuff. Came back with some good fastballs and got the strikeout.
There it is. Jeff tries to go to right, took a bad hop. Delgado did a nice job. A chest burger for Carlos, and 2 are out. Here's Brandon Jones. He walked and came home on the throwing error by Castillo after a great takeout slide by David Ross in that 3-run Braves second.
Come on, Jonesy. Come on, kid.
Don't know what the roster move will be for the Braves when Garrett Anderson comes back tomorrow, but Brandon plays the same spot.
Yeah, and he's played well. He's had some good at bats. I've said before, since he's been here, that he's hit the ball a little more to left field than we've seen him hit in the past. And not a ton of at bats, just 3 for 11. That walk was his 3rd. Garrett Anderson, though, appears to be chomping at the bit to get out there.
That one all the way to the screen for Maine. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Ryan Duran was an early idol of his.
Just a little outside.
I think that's what Jim Powell said next door.
I think so. The Euchre influence. Well, Maine figured it out in the 3rd, didn't he? 2 strikeouts and a soft ground ball to first. The Braves are out in order, and this has been the Airtrain Airways home run inning of the game. Make sure to register at PeachTreeTV.com/Braves for official rules and your chance to win. It's a 3-0 Atlanta game.
Set that truck is riding off into. And here's the trivia question, and good luck.
Yeah.
Al Galima,
he's grouchy today.
Crying out loud, name the 8 pitchers with 100 wins in both leagues. Gaylord Perry.
Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson's a good call.
Well, get your media guide out. Is Vasquez there? Would that constitute cheating?
Probably.
Okay, I'm open and I'll check.
Good.
Oh, he's not close?
Yeah.
I don't trust him. I'm looking anyway. He's grouchy that way. Nap.
Tom Seaver, maybe? White Sox and Yanks.
What did he say? 5 is average?
Yeah.
I think we got another shot.
Good
0-2. Okay, so you said
Gaylord for sure.
Okay. All right, you write him down. I'll say Randy Johnson.
I'm going to say Seaver too.
Nolan Ryan?
Ooh, Nolan Ryan's good.
Don Sutton?
Angels, Dodgers, Brewers, Astros. Yes.
I love it when he gets mad when we get him.
Oh, almost.
There you go. Nope.
Almost. Got Fergie Jenkins.
That'd be a good one. Cubs and assorted clubs. Just retired his number, by the way. Delgado down on strikes for the second time. That's 6 for Vasquez. By the way, Javi has yet to give up a hit in this game.
He's walked 3, but he's fanned 6. And as we told you at the start of the game, he's among the league leaders in ratio of strikeouts to walks. Tonight, it's 6-3. It's usually, for the year anyway, 5-1.
Fergie was a good call. Very good call. Greg Maddux and Fergie Jenkins, number 31, was retired by the Cubs at Wrigley Field yesterday.
Great.
He's trying to run out of space on top of the foul poles, though, with all those retired numbers with Willie Williams and Ryan Sandberg and Ron Santo. Fly ball right center field. Schaefer can't get there. And right on his way to second with the first Mets hit of the game.
And a base hit the other way.
Yep. Good sign for New York. Wright's 6th, the double of the year.
Again, he's got tremendous power that way. But maybe Javi can pitch around it here with Ryan Church coming up.
Kurt Schilling. Red Sox, Arizona, Phillies in his early days, Baltimore, remember?
Oh, Baltimore too. Yeah, okay.
I mean,
I'm in.
We're going for quantity, maybe not quality. With these 8. Church takes a strike.
Clemens didn't pitch enough in Houston, did he?
I don't think so. What, 3.5 years?
Yeah, that's not enough.
I don't think he. Ground ball to the right side. Runner to third. About a second out. Castro's coming up. Church is 0 for 2.
That was a good pitch. I mean, he's been striking out guys left and right, but that was a good pitch with a runner in scoring position. Good sinker that kind of went off to the end of Ryan Church's bat. And he tried to pull it and just hit a weak ground ball to second.
Here's Castro. Off speed and inside. 1 ball, no strikes. Mets have a little catching controversy going on. Brian Schneider's on the disabled list with a back problem. They have Omir Santos and they have Ramon Castro. As that ball grounded to third, Jerry Manuel really likes Santos. Omar Minaya likes Castro. Vasquez likes him too because he's 0 for 2, and it's a 3-0 game, middle of the 4th. All right, JJ, thank you very much. Enthusiastic crowd at the ballpark. Way too many Mets fans, though.
Well, how many does that mean? 2?
More than 1. Less than 10,000. No, we do appreciate the fans coming out to Turner Field. The weather we know in Atlanta has been real shaky the last 3 or 4 days, and lots of rain, a lot of gray skies earlier today, but so far it's turned into a lovely night, and the weather for tomorrow's homestand wrap-up should be even better than tonight. So if you haven't made your plans, come on out and join us. Braves looking good tonight. If they can win this series, they'll be back to 500 before going on the road. And as you mentioned, Joe, all kidding aside, this is it's hard to say in baseball an early May stretch being important, but this one truly is for this Braves ball club. If they can just keep the fort down and get healthy, I think they'll take their chances with everybody in the division.
Yeah, you know, but see, I look at it from a standpoint of opportunity. I think you've got an opportunity here. And you're not trying to send a message or anything, but an opportunity against those teams you've got to beat within your own division, the top contenders, Phillies, Mets, and Marlins, to do some damage and put some space between you and them. And that's all the Braves are going to be playing for the next 10 days, beginning tonight. 2 at home and then 8 on the road. And I'm serious. I mean, I'm thinking 7-3. You go 7-3, you're in first place.
And even more importantly, psychologically, I guess, if you can do it without Garrett Anderson at full speed. If you can do it with Brian McCann coming back as early as Friday, he'll miss the first 2 games down in Florida. It'll take him a couple of games to get used to the glasses and just being back out there and getting in game shape. That's another subtle psychological thing you can throw at him. As Maine all of a sudden has figured out the strikeout magic. He's punched out 5 and 3 of the last 4 hitters.
Marlins got off to that great start. What were they, 11-1?
Yes.
And now they're 14-11. So they have obviously come back to the pack. Had a horrible losing streak that got them back to the pack. Phillies are playing a little better. Their pitching has been a little better, but they still haven't got everybody healthy themselves. Braves expect to see Cole Hamels there on Friday, and he's had a bad ankle.
He's been snake bit.
Yeah.
Sore elbow because of all the off-season stuff that he was doing coming off the World Championship year. He started his workout program late, tried to catch up. That set him back, then got hit on the shoulder by a Prince Fielder line drive, then turned his ankle in his last start. Schaefer jammed, tries to dump one into right. Church coming on and makes a fine tumbling catch. That was a thing of beauty right there.
If he didn't make the catch, Wally Bell was right there, almost sitting on the bill of his cap to see it. Great hustle by the second base umpire, too. Good play by Ryan Church to rob Jordan of a hit. Nice play.
Braves fans will say pew on that play by Church.
I see.
As Schaefer 0 for 2. And Vasquez the hitter. He has an RBI and a fielder's choice that came in the 3-run Atlanta second.
I'd say pew also, but
for a different reason. I don't blame him. 0-2. Did we come up with an eighth name yet for the trivia question?
Yes, Phil Necro.
Oh, that's a good one. Well, we'll see if we're right. We'll answer it for you when we go to the 5th inning. Maine has settled in. Braves, though, beating them 3-0.
Innocent ends, you deserve a new deal.
3-0 Braves, top of the 5th inning. We're going to have to come up with 8 different pitchers who had 100 wins in both the American and National League. We had a few. We had Gaylord, Randy Johnson, Seaver, Nolan Ryan, Sutton, Jenkins, Schilling, and Niekro. Were we even close? We didn't get Kevin Brown. We didn't get Bunning. We didn't get Dennis Martinez.
Oh, Cy Young.
What did we get, 4? Shoot.
Yeah, and Hal said 5 would be average. So
yeah, we got a D on that one.
Yeah. Luis Castillo starts it off, shows bunt, takes a strike. Vasquez has thrown plenty of those tonight.
Dennis Martinez.
Forgot about him.
Yeah.
El Presidente. Remember in '91 down the stretch for the Braves, it was Martinez pitching for the Expos that threw a no-hitter, almost a perfect, maybe it was a perfect
game against
the Dodgers. Yeah. It was when the Braves were just trying to win every single game down the stretch. Started that run of division championships.
He later came to pitch for Atlanta, but even before that in '93, the Giants tried to get him in a waiver deal right at the end of the year to help their rotation in that big pennant race against Atlanta, and the Braves blocked it.
Because they were behind the Giants at that time in the old National League West. What was that, 104 wins won it that year? Was it 104 for the Braves?
I believe so.
The Giants finished a game back. Ground ball to short. Escobar loads up. How'd you like to have that happen to you? You win 103 games, no wild card. Go home, enjoy the playoffs with some popcorn and an adult beverage.
Yeah, how was that 10-game lead you had in late July?
Yeah. One out as Castillo is retired. Maine struck out swinging his first time. He is 12 for 137 at the plate in his career. That's 080 something kind of number. So,
bingo.
Yeah. Go get him. He's 0 for 8 this year. Well, he's been strike 1, strike 2 this entire game.
Key to success right there for a lot of pitching coaches. Strike 1.
Maine down swinging. That's 7. And 2 outs. Saw that shot of the Braves bench. Tom Glavine did throw before the ball game today. We've not received an official report on how that throwing session went, but our producer Glenn Diamond did talk to Tom afterward. He said things went very, very well.
He had stretched it out to over 100 feet with his long toss on Friday, and today was the day for the mound work. Tommy felt very good about it and gave the Glavine disciple Glenn Diamond a thumbs up.
And talking with Tom before that throwing session, he said there were a couple of things he was trying to find out. One, arm strength. He said his arm strength has been very consistent this entire period. He feels very good about where his arm is in that regard. Secondly, he wanted to know what kind of effort it would require him to throw 60 feet 6 inches. And thirdly, and most importantly, would he feel any pain? The area where he said he feels pain is right in the front of his left shoulder. And apparently none of those things were on the negative side of the ledger.
And also a good shot there of the doctor to the stars, Dr. Joe Chandler.
Absolutely.
Overseeing all that.
3 runs, 2 hits. Vasquez allowing just 1 hit through 5 innings. As the Braves try to put the chop on the Mets and run their record to 12-13 on the year. Top of the order's coming up in this 5th inning. That's Johnson, Escobar, and Chipper Jones. First pitch swinging again. Kelly Johnson rolls to Delgado, and an easy play. And 1 out. Kelly swung at the first pitch in the first, then walked in the second. Hacks away early here and is 0 for 2.
That's something I know that Terry Pendleton's trying to get some of the guys to work a little more on the count. Instead of swinging at the first pitch they see or attacking, especially in RBI situations, working the count a little bit, get a little deeper. Maybe you get a better pitch to hit later on if you get the count in your favor.
Well, after a run-scoring hit from this man, Yunel Escobar, all John Maine has done is set down 8 straight men. He struck out 4 of those 8. Braves have gotten the ball out of the infield just twice. So he's a different guy. Good thing they cashed in their opportunity in the second.
He was originally drafted by the Baltimore Orioles, came to the Mets in the Chris Benson trade. Chris Benson's still hard at it, trying to make a comeback from another arm surgery, and I understand he was just sent to Round Rock by the Texas Rangers to begin his rehab.
Texas plays in Seattle tonight, and former Brave Kevin Millwood will try to knock Felix Hernandez from the ranks of the unbeaten King. Felix 4-0 for the 15-10 Mariners,
who won last night in 15 innings at home.
I think they were the first team with a $100 million payroll to lose 100 games last year. And their new manager, Don Wakamatsu, and Jack Zarensik, their new GM, they're playing great to start the year.
Everybody's talking about Toronto being kind of the story of baseball in terms of a team that nobody had any expectations from.
Escobar walks. That snaps the 8-in-a-row string.
I would say that Seattle would rank right up there with surprise teams too.
And you can't really tell about the Angels. I mean, they've had unspeakable tragedy and all kinds of injuries to their pitching staff, with Irvin Santana and John Lackey and Kelvin Escobar all shelved because of injuries. These guys are slowly going to make their way back, but even with those troubles, they're still only 4 out.
The A's made some peculiar moves during the offseason. They picked up a couple of aged veterans, but also made the deal for Matt Holliday. And Holliday has not gotten off to a good start in the American League and took an 0 for 7 yesterday in that 15-inning game.
I think he's only hit 2 home runs.
I think that's right.
Hal can look it up for sure, but he did not homer at all in April.
2.
And so,
that's correct.
Holliday, who's got a 1-year deal, right?
Yes, he'll be a free agent.
What's his value going to be if he has 9 or 10 home runs at the trade deadline?
Not much.
And that's the gamble, I guess, Billy Beane took, right?
Mm-hmm.
1 on, 1 out for Chipper, who's 0 for 1 with a walk. And Escobar held very close. Yunel has 1 stolen base in 1 attempt, and that's something the Braves don't do a lot of. They have just 4 steals as a team.
There it is.
Smack to left. Murphy staggers under the lights a little bit, but stayed with it and made the play 1 out, or make that 2 outs, I beg your pardon. Chipper flies to left for the second time. Casey 0 for 2. By the way, while we have a minute, we'd be remiss if we did not wish Eddie Perez a very happy birthday today. Eddie is 41 years young on this May the 4th.
And a delight to be around.
Runner goes. The Castro throw in time. Escobar can't believe it. The throw was to the third base side of the second base bag. And a quick tag apparently retires him. Was it the right call?
Like a high tag.
Ball beats runner. Runner's called out. And the 5th inning in the books.
Close play into the bottom of the 5th inning. Yunel Escobar trying to swipe the bag. Looked like a high tag, and it was up on his knee. Looked like the foot got in there, Mr. Bell. I think he was safe.
Wally Bell's call stands, and Vasquez to work in the all-important 6th with Murphy, Beltran, Delgado. Big Boppers up for New York, down 3-0. Mets have just 1 hit. I got to ask you, we've talked a lot about the Tampa Bay Rays. We've talked about the Phillies, the 2 teams that met in the World Series last year, having a hangover effect. As that one lined up the middle by Murphy, a clean hit. And certainly it's understandable. I mean, Joe Madden had a great line talking about how his Tampa Bay club has started slowly. He said, well, once we've gotten past Dig Me Week with the championship banners and the rings, all that, they've played a little bit better. And you mentioned the Phillies, the same thing here. Do you think the Mets are still having a hangover effect, not once but twice, because of how poorly they've finished in September?
I would think there was definitely some hangover from that, and an effort to try to correct it.
Well, and they thought they did with Johan Santana.
Yeah,
that didn't work.
Yeah, but you know, is there a little bit of that New York swagger on this ball club that says, "Oh, we'll get them. You know, we'll get hot. Oh, we're gonna have the lead," and no immediacy. You know, there's no reason for any alarm or concern here in early May. But you'd think this team would come out of the gates blazing because of what's happened the last 2 years.
And that obviously hasn't happened. They're 10-13. And now 2 balls and a strike to Beltran.
But as you have pointed out, we talked about it since the beginning of this game. If you're not getting starting pitching, you're not going to win. Doesn't matter how good your lineup is or how much you've fortified the tail end of your bullpen.
Which begs the question, if they don't think that Oliver Perez is the answer, if Maine or Pelfrey spit the bit. Pedro Martinez is sitting out there. Paul Bird is sitting out there. Ownership has said to Omar Minaya, you can go add money if you need to. How much longer could they afford to wait if they don't think that what they have is going to work long term for them?
I don't know. I don't know how long they'll go if they've got the wherewithal to make these kinds of changes. Bring some guys up from the minor leagues that are knocking on the door. But if you do that, Chip, you admit you've made mistakes in other areas.
Fly ball hammered to center. Schaefer back to the infield, waves goodbye. 15-game hit streak for Carlos Beltran, and we've got a one-run game.
And his first ever hit off of Vasquez.
That'll put some of that swagger in the Mets dugout. Only their third hit of the game, and it leaves the park.
Fastball up. Able to get extended. Power from both sides of the plate, but especially left-handed, and he goes to straightaway center.
There's some life in the Mets dugout now, and the Braves ahead by a run with Delgado up. He has struck out looking, he has struck out swinging, and now he dumps a ball into shallow left for a third hit in a row. And this is the maddening thing at times about Javier Vasquez. As overwhelming as his stuff can be, he will have an inning in a game where in the blink of an eye there's all kinds of trouble.
He led 3-1 the other night against the Cardinals going to the 5th inning. And then he gave up 3 straight singles to the bottom third of the order, including a hit to Adam Wainwright. Got a couple of strikeouts and then gave up 3 more straight hits. 4 runs in the inning and wound up losing 5-3.
What he's got to buckle down now is David Wright hit the ball to right center field for the first New York hit. You thought that was an important sign for David Wright.
If he's been struggling, it's because he tries to pull the ball too much, and that double was to right center.
A high strike, 0-1.
Ground ball would be awfully nice right here.
Delgado runs glacially. And still has a sore hip. High fly ball left center. Schaefer back. Mets have the lead. Just like that, New York's in front.
Single and a homer, single and a homer. Javi Vasquez had only given up 1 home run this year in his first 37 innings, and he gives up 2 this inning, and that's where David Wright's wheelhouse is. Down and in. He loves to uppercut the ball, and he was able to launch that one. And that's his second homer of the season.
And if that gets David Wright going, the at-bat that he may want to remember is the one you pointed out. I think that's a good call. 4th inning double the other way.
He's just too good a hitter to try to pull everything. Braves bullpen will get busy in a hurry.
As Ryan Church is up, 4 batters up, 4 batters have scored. New York by a run. A quick chat from Roger McDowell turns into a quick strike to the Mets right fielder. Look out. 0-2. Jeff Bennett joins Eric in the bullpen for the Braves.
Saw Gary Sheffield a minute ago on the rail for the Mets, and when they signed him after the Tigers released him, he figured to cut in. There's Gary. Cut in on the playing time of Ryan Church, which at least to this point has not been a factor because Gary hasn't played the outfield much in a long time. 5th on the all-time active home run leaders.
That's down the left field line, slicing and into the seats. When Sheffield signed with the Mets, he was out taking fly balls day after day after day. He said he had to lose some weight, not because he was out of shape, but he was out of outfield shape. As a designated hitter in the American League, you don't have to worry about that. But in this league, you need to drop 10 pounds or so to be able to run around in left or right.
Good off-speed pitch there. Didn't get the call. Yeah, you know what happens is you get out on the grass, and sometimes in the soft turf you might develop some shin splints almost because of the way you're having to use your feet, ankles, turning, cutting, digging into the grass to try to go get some balls.
Off-speed pitch takes care of Church. That's a much-needed first down in the 6th inning. And 8 strikeouts for Vasquez in the game.
Yeah, he just missed with the slow curve the pitch before, but came right back with it. And in a great spot. Church couldn't afford to lay off and way out in front. Excellent pitch and a good comeback after a rough start to the inning.
Little crossfire action as Castro looks at ball 1. 4-3 now New York. Braves got 3 runs in the 2nd. Mets have answered with 4 here in the 6th. We told you this would be a tough inning with the heart of the order up. Ross behind the plate, right at the screen. Makes the play. 2 out.
I thought it might have hit the screen, but then I realized it was the fans who actually made the screen wiggle a little bit. David had a look at him after he made the catch.
So Vasquez restores some order now with 2 outs and Castillo strike. Javi had given up just 1 home run this year. Coming into play tonight, he's given up 2 in this 6th inning.
And he's up over 100 pitches with the extra work here in the 6th inning.
His spot's not due till 6th offensively in the 6th. We'll see if he stays on. You know he'd love to get Castillo and force the Mets to send the pitcher spot up first in the 7th. And he'll help himself. Comebacker, but a productive inning for New York. Beltran hits his 3rd home run and extends his hit streak to 15 games. David Wright cracks his 2nd home run of the year. It turns around the game for New York. They lead it 4-3.
On top, let's take a look at the Braves' upcoming schedule, brought to you by Airtran Airways. Go, there's nothing stopping you. Back with you tomorrow night on Peachtree TV at 7 o'clock as the Mets close out this homestand. Then the Braves hit the road going down to Florida for 2. Those 2 games on Sports South. Back with you next Friday at Citizens Bank Park on Peachtree TV. Big Fox has the game on Saturday, and Fox Sports South on Sunday to wrap up the road trip.
You're going to be awfully busy.
Got them all, baby, except the Big Fox game.
Make sure you pack the right shirts for the right games.
Oh, that's a big issue.
As Casey Kochman goes to work, see if the Braves can come right back. I tell you what, Maine looks like a different guy after the second inning.
I think he got chewed out. I do. I mean, it didn't look like a real chewing out by David Wright, who was trying to prop him up a little bit in the second inning. But I think maybe he got tested a little bit when he got back to the dugout about challenging some people, because that's what he's done since then.
Well, for a club whose general manager questioned whether they have any fire or edge, I think this kid's showing it.
He's working faster and he's throwing more fastballs. By the way, on Friday night on that road trip, or make it Saturday night, big Bolero bowling tournament.
Oh, that's right.
Makes its return.
Well, as a former champion, I really like my chances. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Believe I was the first ever rookie.
Yes.
Bolero champ.
Yes, you were the rookie MVP that year. But it'll be fun in Philadelphia. Defending champ Dave Baker will not be in attendance.
Really?
So the field is wide open.
Oh, man. That's good. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Was Dave home fixing something? Or?
Well, it's Mother's Day's the next day, and he's thought better of it.
That'd be a little tough. Honey, I'm going to go to Philadelphia and bowl with my buddies.
Yeah, you just go right ahead.
Yeah, There's a shot up the middle. Kochman pokes one past Maine. He's 1 for 3 and represents the game-tying run.
I want you to watch Casey Kochman on this swing and how he goes down with his body to get this pitch. Knees bend and everything is leaned out over and down to get a piece of it. He hit it sharply and he gets a base hit. And he is a tough out, tough to strike out. But that's also why he doesn't generate as much power as you might expect to.
Lancourt pops it up. Right side of the diamond, and Castillo makes a one-handed catch.
One of those early outs. I'm sure that Terry would like to see Jeff, who's done a great job all season long of getting deeper into counts. Would have liked to have seen him get a better pitch.
Braves have 1 hit since the start of the 3rd inning. 1 ball, no strikes to Brandon Jones.
Brandon's got some power, especially down and in. Kind of that no-fly zone for left-handed hitters with some pop is don't go down and in.
Yeah, why is that?
Just a natural part of the swing, I guess. And a lot of left-handed batters are naturally right-handed. I mean, they throw right, but they might bat left. And it's easy for them just to pull that bat down with their bottom hand right-handed and drop the barrel on the ball.
And a good at bat. Jones aboard. Go ahead run at first. Tying run at second. David Ross the batter. Maine with 6. Count them, 6 walks in the game. That's going to turn that lineup over and over and over.
Mets have activity in their bullpen. left-hander and a right-hander. You know, another team in the American League, we've been talking about surprise teams, Toronto, Seattle. How about Kansas City? They got a half-game lead. They're in first place in the American League Central.
How about Zach Greinke on the cover of Sports Illustrated? 5-0, 0.5 earned run average for the Royals.
Amazing. He may be the first Kansas City cover boy on Sports Illustrated since George Brett.
Brett Saberhagen, maybe?
Maybe, but I'm guessing Brett.
I mean, that's going to be a fun race too. As Ross looks at the ball, here's the standings about which you were speaking.
Cleveland, a huge disappointment. They're having pitching problems, still scoring runs, but they can't outscore every team every night. Just 2 games separating the top 4.
When you look at all the standings, I mean, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but is there really a great team in baseball anymore? Or has Bud Selig's wish of parity in every team in every city having a chance coming to pass now?
I don't know if there's a great team. I guess if there is, it might be the Red Sox. But I think there's some great teams. Oh, look at this.
Right with a bare hand. Cross play and just got it.
Oh, that was a good idea. He caught Wright playing deep, but he bunted it so hard that David was able to recover and get it on one hop. He'll make it more than one hop. But he didn't have far to go to get it. But see how deep Wright was playing. He thought he had it automatic. Not so.
So now you have Schaefer up. The pitcher spot is next. First base open with 2 outs in a 1-run game. I think they'd be very careful with Schaefer here. Greg Norton's already in the on-deck circle. We'll see if that's a decoy or not. Depends on what Schaefer does.
But they're going to pitch to him, or at least on appearances pitch to him. They struck him out in the 2nd inning. Church made a good play on his next time up. I just see in Jordan's swing right now, Chip, an inability to throw the top hand, and that's the wrist that's bothering him. You can see the tape sticking out from under his batting glove on his left side. It's hard for him to get on top of a pitch when that left wrist and hand won't fire. Good swing there.
So that begs the question, you can't do it now, and maybe you don't do it with 2 outs, but with his speed, why not try to bunt?
Not a bad idea, and he's tried that. Had a bunt single in one 3-hit game he had. But I think because of the way they're pitching him, one of the things you can do to try to offset that is move off the plate some. So that those pitches that are coming in belt high are off the plate. They're not strikes. You don't have to hack at them. But what you do have to do is make sure you are staying on the plate to cover the outside corner. That old in and out deal. He's off the plate quite a bit.
And this is what Maine did to him in his first at bat. Jumped ahead with 2 strikes, elevated the ball, didn't get the call, and then came right back in, belt buckle inside half, and Jordan swung and missed.
Yeah, that was just a waste pitch there since they were already ahead in the count. But let's see how long it takes them to go back in.
Didn't take him long at all, did it? 2nd and 3rd. And the Braves cannot push across the tying run. John Maine pitches out of 6th inning trouble and leads by a run.
else but the world of Coca-Cola could jog a 7-foot-tall polar bear? Take home a free 8-ounce glass bottle of Coke produced on site and taste over 60 different beverages from around the world. Make plans to visit the world of Coca-Cola today.
7th inning rolls around in Atlanta. Glad you're with us tonight on Peachtree TV with my partner Joe Simpson, Glenn Diamond, our producer, Maceo Grant, our director tonight, and our great stat man Hal Galima. Job well done for John Maine. He'll depart after 6 innings tonight. A lot of walks. That's a career high, but he really buckled down after a rough 2nd inning and let his offense do the work. They've provided him with a 1-run lead, and he's out of the game now for Alex Cora is on to pinch hit.
It's amazing. 6 walks and only 1 scored.
Cora, a pinch hit single. Cora spent the last couple of years with the Boston Red Sox, and I think, Joe, he's really going to help in that Mets locker room. Reyes, Delgado, David Wright. He knows how to win because he's been on winning teams and is a real good bench player.
Makes a difference when you've got some guys on your ball club that have been there and have been through the wars.
So Reyes, let's see what he has in store. Chipper in on the grass, thinking he might bunt.
Reyes is 0 for his last 11 on this road trip.
Tried to bunt. Ross was ready to snap a throw to first, but Kochman was charging on the bunt attempt.
If that was supposed to be a sacrifice attempt, it wasn't a very good one because he was already kind of running out of the box like he might try to bunt for a hit. Razor Shines, the third base coach, new third base coach this year for the Mets.
1 ball, 1 strike. Bunted in the air, but it takes a short hop. That'll benefit Atlanta. Cora had to hold, didn't know if the ball was going to be caught or not. Reyes at first with 1 out.
Absolutely nothing Luis Alicea can do here. It's in the air. He's got to freeze. Doesn't want to get doubled off first if it's caught in the air. So he's a dead duck in second. Poor bunt by Reyes, but I guess if there's a bonus for the Mets out of this, they get their fast runner at first base instead of Cora.
Murphy hits. He singled and scored ahead of the Beltran home run last inning.
This guy last year started the year in A-ball. He was at Brooklyn. Played at A, AA, AAA, and the big leagues all in one season and hit .313 once he got to the big leagues. It's kind of a storybook year, isn't it?
And I believe he's an infielder by trade, is he not?
Yes, he is.
But because he can hit, they say, well, go out there and play left field and hope the ball doesn't find you. Well, it has a lot this year, and that's the tough part. But give this guy credit. He was in the outfield when Johan Santana struck out 13 Marlins and lost because he dropped the ball in the outfield with 1 hand. Stood in front of his locker, answered all the questions, took the blame, took the New York heat. And his lack of experience defensively, I would think, Joe, certainly hasn't affected the way he hits.
No, he hasn't let it rub off on him because that is the strength of his game. He only had 14 at bats in A ball. He was 7 for 14. Then a lot of the season in AA at Binghamton, hit .308. Then only 4 at bats in AAA before coming on up to the Mets.
Fisted into center. 2 outs. And perhaps because of the Church injury, he was rushed through their system to try to come up and provide a much needed left-handed bat.
Yeah, they needed a lot of help. They had a lot of injuries in their outfield. But watch this swing. Hands inside the baseball that even tied him up a little bit. But because he's able to get the hands through and fight that ball off, he hit that ball pretty hard. It didn't go very far, but he hit it with some authority. And that's a pitch that Jordan Schaefer, and a style in which Jordan Schaefer is going to have to get used to fight that pitch off. Murphy's stronger at this point. He's a little older, 24 years old, 6'2", 215. That's a lot bigger than Jordan Schaefer. But that's the type of swing that on that fastball on the inner third, that's how Jordan Schaefer's going to have to adjust.
Does that come with strength? Does that come with experience? Does that come with being in the big leagues, close play? Just back is Reyes.
Jordan Schaefer's skill is there. He's got a terrific swing. You see the tape on the wrist. I'm hanging a lot of this inability to handle that pitch right now on his inability physically to throw the top hand, to get his hands inside the baseball to try to fight that ball off.
Well, how long is that going to continue? I mean,
the
more you swing the bat, the more that's going to bark, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. And he's got to play every day because he's by far the best center fielder the Braves have on the roster at the moment.
So I'll go back to what I asked you before. If it's bothering you to swing the bat with his speed, I got to have him bunt a couple times a game. Crushed to center field. Schaefer is back. Beltran has left the building again. He is hotter than an Atlanta summer, folks. And the Mets now a 3-run lead.
Gives him 18 RBIs on the year, and again another fastball out away from him. Just able to throw the bat, extend his arms, this time again to more straightaway center. And that's going to do it for Vasquez.
He goes 6 2/3 innings in the game. He struck out 8. Javier walked 3 tonight. And I've got him for 7 hits and 6 runs. Javier Vasquez departs trailing 6-3 as Beltran has bested him twice with his 26th multi-homer game. And this call to the bullpen brought to you by AT&T. Homers, 2 of them by the league's leading hitter Carlos Beltran. The latter of those has chased Javi Vasquez. Now Eric O'Flaherty in to try to retire Delgado and get this game back into the Braves' offensive dugout.
O'Flaherty, one of those guys that has done a good job in the bullpen since some troubles at the beginning of the year, has his ERA down to 3.5. Well,
Carlos Beltran Win a batting title this year for New York?
If so, he'll be the first Met to do it. No Mets ever thrown a no-hitter. No Mets ever won a batting title.
That first one still amazes me. All the great pitchers they've had there. Little chopper. Take your time, Kelly. Delgado with that sore hip does not run well, and O'Flaherty does his job. But Carlos Beltran 2 for 3 in tonight's game. A pair of 2-run homers, and both of them were crushed over the wall in center, much to the disappointment of the Braves and Javi Vasquez tonight.
Seventh inning stretch underway. Tonight's Home Depot know-how question comes from Alan Hercules, big strong guy in Atlanta. Wants to know, what is the Braves record for home runs hit by a rookie? And the answer, Alan, for an Atlanta rookie, it was Earl Williams, who hit 33 home runs back in 1971. The franchise record is actually 38, hit by Wally Berger, and that was back in 1936. So that's the answer to the Home Depot know-how question for Alan Hercules. And we're glad that you wrote in for the Home Depot know-how question. I'm Joe.
I'm truly speechless. Bobby Parnell is pitching to Greg Norton. I got to say, that was as strong an effort on the Home Depot question in our 5 years together.
Thank you. Thanks.
I mean, do you feel more confident with your
I feel kind of like part of the team.
Yeah.
You know? And you know what? This was in my mailbox tonight. I don't know where it came from. We have tours that come through the stadium, and they pass through the press box. They take them through, show them the radio booth, television booth. Our mailbox is in the radio booth,
right,
and this was in my box tonight. Don't know how it got there. Don't know who it came from. I'm very appreciative. I'm very proud. I'm very proud, and this will be part of the know-how question here at Turner Field for the rest of the year.
And maybe beyond that.
I've even got, look, I got pins. I got the Joey Logano race car.
Yeah.
I've got, what's his name? Homer?
Yeah.
I got the Homer pin. Got another Joey Logano over here. I got decked out by somebody. But right here. Right there. Joe.
The other thing I noticed, you got very deep pockets.
Yes. Yeah, well, I can put a lot of stuff in there. I can put a hammer, I can put a tape measure.
Media guides?
I mean, how many times have you been walking around at Home Depot and you need something measured and you ask one of the associates? They've always got a tape measure right there.
I wish they'd give the aprons to the customers coming in so you wouldn't have to take a card all the time. You can just put the stuff in the pockets.
It's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. I'll talk to our people.
Yeah. Perfect. No, but for an Oklahoma guy, I got to tell you, that color orange looks very good on you.
You didn't have to go there.
Sorry. But whoever our mystery apron donor was, you should have seen Joe's face when I walked in after the radio pregame show. I walked in and said, "Look what I've got."
It was amazing.
It was like Christmas for me. Let's see if the rally apron does its job tonight in the 7th inning with Kelly Johnson up. Bobby Parnell, a hard-throwing right-hander out of this Mets pen, a pen that's been very good this year. The Mets, in fact, are 8-2 this year when they lead after 6 innings, so they are drastically improved in their 7th, 8th, and 9th inning setup guys. Ground ball deep short. There's one. Castillo hangs in and gets his man a double play.
Good turn that time by Castillo. Had a little more time. Like Reyes had a little trouble getting the ball out of his glove at first. Get Kelly by a half step, and Castillo really giving a clap, standing at the bag and clapping for Parnell and getting the ground ball. We said that the Mets had not come from behind in any deficit of more than 3 runs, but this year they've also blown some games where they've led by three runs. They lost 14 last year when they led by 3 or more. That was the most in the National League. And this year already 4 games in which they've blown a 3 or more run lead.
But I got to believe that that's because they're starting pitching more so than just their pen. But still, a lead's a lead.
And they bounce back tonight.
Yeah. They were down 3-0 tonight. 6 unanswered runs.
All the result of home runs.
And if you don't get them here, what makes it tough? They now have that combination. Well, they have 3 guys really. They have Green, they have Putz, and they have K-Rod now. So they really have the ability to shorten the ball game, and they can use Parnell one day, Green the other for the 7th, and then the 8th and 9th. Obviously, Putz then the former Angels closer. And that one hammered to right field. That'll chase Church back to the edge of the warning track, and he'll make the grab. So a walk, a double play, and a long flyout ends the Atlanta 7th. The rally apron didn't work tonight. Hopefully better luck tomorrow, and better luck in the final 2 tonight.
Right now, when you register at Braves.com/birthday, you'll get a free birthday ticket to a Braves game of your choice. That's Braves.com/birthday for your free ticket. And remember, the free ticket does not have to be used on your birthday.
Well, so did Eddie Perez get a free. I don't know if Eddie registered. It's his birthday today. Does he get a free ticket?
If he registered at Braves.com/birthday, he could get a free ticket for his birthday, and he wouldn't have to use it today.
Yeah,
he could use it tomorrow.
Or any
other day. Yeah.
That's a good idea. And again,
excellent.
Look, with folks we know, and I've said this a couple of times, we know the economy is tough and your discretionary income is very, very precious to you. The Braves are, like every other major league team outside of New York, doing everything they can to make baseball as affordable and as entertaining as they possibly can. And there's some great ticket plans for you and your family, and we hope that you will spend part of your summer with us here at Turner Field, and we appreciate the fans who've already made their way to this beautiful downtown ballpark this year.
There's not a bad seat in this ballpark, and the Braves have a price point for everybody.
How was Bark in the Park, by the way?
Excellent.
Yeah. Ground ball by right to short. Escobar loads up.
Had a nice, cool, cloudy day, so that it wasn't too hot for the dogs. But it was a good day.
Got a lot of emails from folks watching around the country tonight. David Cohn was another Royal that was on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Oh, okay.
And Buck Martinez. Remember, Clint Hurdle was on the cover.
Yeah, but that was a long time ago. I'm just saying that since George Brett.
Oh, recent history?
I'm just saying, has there been anyone that's been on the cover from the Royals since George Brett? That's what I'm curious about.
Hal said Alex Gordon might have been on there. I can't remember if he was or not. But hey, that's one of the great early stories. Baseball's back in Kansas City, it would appear, and they've redone their stadium. It's supposedly beautiful.
Those fountains are awesome.
You played there. Great baseball town, too.
Awesome. Just great town. I mean, the fans are very much like St. Louis. Very knowledgeable baseball people there. They've had baseball in Kansas City for a jillion years, minor league and major league. They know the game.
I mean, Satchel Paige starred there for so many years with the Monarchs in the old Negro Leagues. And there's a paint job over the outside corner. Church retired for the second time on strikes. Moylan 2 up, 2 down in the 8th.
Peter had a rough outing a couple of days ago. Gave up a couple of runs back just yesterday. An inning, 2 hits, 2 runs, and he walked 2, and that's the difference maker with the 2 walks. Had a pretty good streak running right up to yesterday.
So dating back to April 11th, which is as far as the Braves' most recent bullpen appearances go, this is the 3rd time since then that Moylan has pitched in back-to-back games for the Braves. And that was something about which Bobby Cox was going to be very cautious, not only with Peter, but with Mike Gonzalez and Rafael Soriano. All 3 of those men coming back from very serious elbow surgeries, and makes it very difficult to mix and match at the end of your games.
Yeah, this is not a likely Peter Moylan spot to bring him in down by 3, but in an effort to try to build up some arm strength, perhaps that's Bobby's thought here in getting him some more work, getting back on track after a rough outing yesterday.
And down 3 runs. Not as much pressure, although clearly he can't give up anything else, but it's not like it's a game altering situation, at least here in the 8th yet. Ramon Castro hitless tonight, but he really got Maine back on track, and he's going to bounce to Chipper Jones at 3rd. Moylan works a 1-2-3 8th inning. Part of the order for Atlanta: Chipper, Kochman, Francoeur coming up. But Atlanta finds itself in the teeth of that terrific Mets bullpen. Team having a good time tonight, and the home lads down 3. It's a 6-3 score, bottom of the 8th inning. Chipper Jones will lead things off against former Mariners closer, now Mets setup man J.J. Putz.
Got off to a bit of a rough start as a Met, Chip, but he is settling in. And in his last outing against the Phillies 2 days ago, worked a season-high 2 innings and retired all 6 batters he faced. 6 walks against 6 strikeouts. You talked to scouts about this guy 2 years ago in Seattle. He was unhittable and ran into some arm trouble.
So challenge for Chipper, who has flied to left twice and pops it to the left side, but out of play, foul here in the 8th. Mets are 9-1 when they lead after 7. So as each passing inning, the difficulty of beating this Mets club increases when you trail. Putz part of a 12-player 3-team trade worked out by the Mets after they brought in K-Rod to close. And that ball sinking down and away at 93 for a strike.
6'5", 250. 36 saves with the Mariners in 06, 40 saves for them with a 1.38 ERA in 2007.
Swing and a drive belted deep right field, way out of here. It came in, but it sure went out a whole lot quicker.
That it did. 3rd homer, his 9th RBI. And on an 0-2 pitch, he thought he could run another fastball by him. But it was up and gone. Again, I was talking about Chipper swinging the bat in batting practice and the ball just jumping off his bat. Here's another good example of it. He was playing home run derby with the bullpen and BP.
So there's one of those 3 runs back. Now the Braves need somebody on and somebody else to pop one.
Extra base hits in their Braves career. Chipper closing in on Eddie Matthews. He's at 899 extra base hits. First home run allowed by Putz since he came to the National League.
Okay.
One ball, 1 strike. It's funny how some pitchers find their way to the mound as a young player. J.J. Putz, as a kid, was a catcher, but he was a prototypical decent field no hit. In fact, he was DH'd for when he caught.
When they let the pitcher hit.
Yeah. So he had the big right arm from his days behind the plate, and they figured at some point, let's make this guy a pitcher. That's never a good sign for a baseball career.
No.
Hey, son, we'll let you play in the field, but let somebody else hit.
Well, some American League West matchup with Angels, former Angels. Casey Kochman 1 for 5 against him. Garrett Anderson still on the disabled list, but was 4 for 11 against him.
Ground ball up the middle. You saw Putz with that bare hand try to flag that ball down. That's a no-no. But no trouble for Reyes as Kochman 1 for 4. The first out of the 8th inning.
Jeff's never faced him before. Let's see if he's going up there hacking like he did his last at bat when he popped up, or if he wants to see a pitch, see it out of his hand.
Braves have left just 4 men on base in tonight's game by my count, but of those 4, 3 of them have been in scoring position. They had first and second, one out in the 6th, and could not push across anything else, and that at this point a very costly inning for them.
Swing. Another guy who might be able to give some scouting report on puts. He was on the World Baseball Classic U.S. team, correct? Brian McCann was his catcher. Could have enlightened some of the Braves hitters about what he throws and how he likes to work and what his out pitch is.
Yeah, I think that'd be a huge advantage for the catchers. McCann and Chris Iannetta for the Rockies were on that club.
Brian getting used to his glasses. Those are not the ones he will wear in game situation. Those should be here tomorrow. And then he's going to go to Rome for a couple of days and get some at bats.
Jeff fought off another 2 balls and 2 strikes. Yeah, talking with Brian about that. He's going to wear the Oakley style.
Yeah.
There'll be prescription. And he's going to switch catching masks to that hockey style mask, which makes you wonder what will happen if you take the mask off with the glasses on. And Brian said he probably won't take the mask off for a while. Catch pop-ups that way if need be. Nasty.
Oh, a splitter.
2 out.
Watch this pitch die. Acts like a changeup, but also going down.
Here's Brandon Jones. Final hope in this 8th inning. A Chipper Jones leadoff homer. And now Jones, who's walked twice, scored once, and struck out, will try to get on in front of David Ross. Look, did you see the body language of the Mets when they have the lead in this 8th inning? A lot of nimble legs out there. Nobody wandering around, pacing much. They're all on their toes. What a difference a year makes.
Well, again, if you've failed to cash in 2 years in a row, you would think the start of the new season, this team would be anxious to prove themselves. Quite a switch in their bullpen numbers so far on the year, too. But again, that's what they were hanging their demise on the last 2 years, was bullpen futility.
It was day after day. Here we go again for the Mets. One ball, 2 strikes. Bases clear for Brandon. Line down the left field line. Look at that piece of hitting. Can he stretch it into 2? Can't take a chance. Murphy got over there in very good shape. But the tying run potentially is at the plate with 2 outs in the form of David Ross.
That's what I've liked about Brandon's swing, Chip. I said earlier that he'd been going to left field more, and here's another example of it. Like that splitter that was up a little higher than the one to Francoeur, and he hit it hard.
Well, you'd think Ross has seen puts a time or 2. David spent some time with the Red Sox, puts in the American League too with Seattle. David 0 for 2, but with a walk tonight. Hasn't seen him. That's interesting. No balls and a strike.
Mets bullpen in 2006, no blown saves, and they won the NL East in 2006. But 07 and 08, a different story. 5 blown saves last year, contributing to their blown lead.
On 2. Braves have Infante, Salmons, Prado, and Diaz left on their bench. All of those men right-handed. They've used Greg Norton already, and you know K-Rod's going to come on in the 9th inning unless the Mets have a lead of greater than 3 in the 9th. And Putz just blows it right on by. Gives up 2 hits in a run. Chipper Jones parks one into the Braves bullpen. And the Mets lead cut to 2 after 8.
Look at the Zaxby's indescribably good play of the game. Brian Church with a nice diving catch off the bat of Jordan Schaefer. Nice play there. That came in the 4th inning to rob Schaefer of a base hit. The Sensation Salad is back at Zaxby's. The flavor's so unique. It demanded an encore.
Jeff Bennett in for the 13th time.
0.77 ERA. That's the number that counts there. $19,132 is tonight's attendance. As Castillo starts things off, he is 0 for 3. And Bennett missed high. 4-1. One hop bouncer to Kelly to his right. Good start for the 9th inning. And here comes Gary Sheffield for New York. See what kind of response he gets. Gary, of course, a former Brave. And he gets booed. 500 career homers. And a bunch of them here. I'm not sure why this response from Braves fans.
Will Gary Sheffield find his way to the Hall of Fame? 500 home runs. He's passed Ernie Banks on the all-time RBI list, 26th place. He's 15 RBIs behind Tony Perez on the all-time RBI list. 25 men have hit 500 or more home runs. He's one of them.
Let me enlighten some of the Atlanta fans, too. You can boo him because he's wearing a Met uniform. That's fine, but first year he was in Atlanta, he had 307, 25 homers, 84 driven in, and then in 03 he had 330 39 homers, 132 RBIs, and scored 126 runs. He had a .604 slugging percentage that year. 37 doubles, 2 triples to go with the 39 homers. So his time in Atlanta in the regular season, very good.
7-time All-Star with San Diego, Florida, the Dodgers, the Braves, and a 2-time American League All-Star with the Yankees. In his day, as much back speed as any player in baseball history.
But that was the reason Detroit, the reason that was rumored was the reason they let him go, is his bat speed had slowed down. He was having trouble catching up.
And he earns a walk with 1 out. So while Jeff Bennett has a low ERA, he has more than had his share of base runners. And Sheffield aboard with the top of the Mets order, and Jose Reyes due next.
Jeff's only had a couple of outings where he did not allow a base runner. Every other outing he has pitched in and out of trouble to preserve that ERA. Sheffield, by the way, Hal Galima tells me, is the first of those hitters to get 500 homers to do it as a pinch hitter.
Wow. That's a pretty cool stat. I think Wade Boggs was the first with his 3,000th hit to do it with a home run. So it's sort of a statistical oddity too. But you got to wonder too, with Sheffield, the era in which he played, what kind of effect is that going to have when he's through playing on his Hall of Fame candidacy? Players from the 80s and players from the 90s. And Sheffield's going to be picked off with a good throw. Easy play. That's a 1-3-6. Caught stealing or pick off, whichever you prefer. 2 outs. But many of those players in that era are tainted by the broad brush of steroid use in baseball. And Sheffield was one of the feared sluggers of that time.
Took off a little bit too soon here.
Yes.
He had a little bit of a walking and then a running lead before Bennett ever made a commitment. So a relatively easy pickoff there.
1-0 count to Reyes, and it's a good thing he took off early because Reyes has his first hit. So your thoughts? I mean, you played in a different era of Major League Baseball. Your thoughts on guys like Sheffield? I want to be clear, I'm not saying he did anything wrong. Don't know what he did or didn't do. Don't know what any of those guys did or didn't do, other than the ones who've admitted it. But fairly or unfairly, how will Sheffield and players of the 90s be judged when they're through playing?
Oh, there's always going to be a glare, that glare of who did and who didn't. I think Gary Sheffield's a Hall of Famer. I really do. 500 homers, a .292 career batting average coming into this season. That was hurt last year by a .225 average. And a bunch of at-bats, 418 at-bats. And he hasn't been the most popular player with the media. He hasn't been the most popular player in some cities. You know, and the things he said after he left Milwaukee will always be riding with him too, about some things he said he did deliver.
Runner Reyes goes. The Ross throw is way too high, and Reyes, with 4 stolen bases this season, has 2 tonight to run his total to 6.
Remembered, David Ross short hopped the last one. He wasn't going to short hop this one, and it came out of his hand very high. Good play by Escobar to keep it from getting into center field.
And now with Reyes at second, Bennett and David will get a new set of signs. And I think we talked about this last week, but for the fans who missed the conversation, your criteria for the Hall of Fame is what? Do you have to be the greatest of the great, or the greatest, one of the greatest players in the era in which you play?
I think you can only compare yourself to who you played against. And if you're dominating in your era, that's all you can compare it to.
Yeah. I mean, it was such a different game 70, 80 years ago when Babe Ruth played.
Yeah.
And by that I mean, Baseball was segregated. You had very few Latin players in our game. And so how many home runs would Babe Ruth have hit had he faced pitchers like Bob Gibson, for example?
Even a step beyond that is the specialists. You know, there were guys who pitched 9 innings.
Yeah. How many home runs did Babe Ruth hit against a guy in his 4th time facing him in a game?
Or on his 170th pitch that day.
Yeah.
You know, how much stuff did he have left?
Yikes, broken bat. Kochman broke for the ball. Now has to scramble to the bag, pick up the baseball. And all of those things he did very well. A walk and a single. And it's time for K-Rod of the Mets. He'll try to protect a 2-run lead.
Tuesday at 7 on Peachtree TV. The Braves play here.
Last chance for the Braves here in the bottom of the 9th inning. A couple of changes for New York. Jeremy Reed takes over for Danny Murphy in left field. And he will bat in the number 9 spot. And Francisco Rodriguez, K-Rod, is on for New York, and they have certainly gotten their money's worth from him in the first 5 weeks of this year.
So far, so good. 5 for 5 in saves, as you see. Left-handed hitters, and he'll face a lefty to start the inning. And Jordan Schaefer, lefties are 1 for 16 off of him so far. And as you see there, 14 strikeouts in 9 2/3 innings. Big delivery, throws hard. Last year set a major league record with 62 saves. 23 of those came while protecting a 1-run lead for the Angels.
That's tough a save to get. So Schaefer to work 0 for 3. And that one over the outer half of the plate and called a strike.
You can't get caught up in all the motion either. You've got to wait to see it out of his hand. Because if you start trying to jump out there and move as fast as he's moving with that glove coming at you and the high leg kick, you're going to get beat on his off-speed pitch. A good breaking ball that he just fired in there.
Schaefer in an 0-2 count.
His last 83 saves have all come by working an inning or less. July of 07, the last time he had to work more than an inning, and that was an inning and a third.
One ball, 2 strikes. Castro couldn't hang on and took some punishment. By the way, look at the Braves dugout. It's the 9th inning, down 2 runs, and everybody is lined up on that top step. This is the first time they've seen K-Rod in a game of consequence in the National League.
I don't remember the last time I saw the Braves team do this, honestly.
I mean, they're going to see this guy potentially 18 times. All of them trying to get a look at what K-Rod does. One out.
Got him with a breaking ball.
3 strikeouts for Schaefer. And now the Braves into that right-handed bench. They've got Omar Infante coming up.
And the strikeouts keep adding up for Jordan Schaefer.
That's 33 of them and 18 walks.
And 7 of his last 8 official at bats. Nothing to be ashamed of there, striking out against this guy, as many as he racks up.
Bennett goes an inning with a hit and a walk, but this game in the decision column for Javi Vasquez right now. He couldn't hold a 3-0 lead. 3 2-run homers hit by the Mets tonight. Strike 1 to Infante. Omar, a former American League player with the Tigers.
Both of these guys from Venezuela. Rodriguez from Caracas. Rodriguez didn't just break onto the scene last year, in case you hadn't heard of him before. The last 3 years leading into last season, 45 saves, 47, and then 40.
Angels weren't willing to meet his contract demands, and so the Mets signed him up. I think the Angels miss him. Popped up. Angels bullpen has had an awful time. Brian Fuentes has not been the answer for him, and the Angels starting pitching and bullpen problems have them buried so far in the AL West. Just a half game ahead of Oakland for last. What a weapon a guy like K-Rod is when he's right. He worked the game from the 9th inning forward, and it's worked out well to this point. 1-2 to Infante. Popped him up. Devastating changeup. 2 are out. And he's got the whole package. It's rare to see a closer with 3 pitches on time, isn't it?
And it's all set up by the fastball. But I still contend that his motion makes him that much more effective with the high leg kick, and then what looks like a guy just coming at you, about to throw his glove at you. The way he kind of windmills that front arm. Very distracting.
So let's see if Kelly Johnson can work the count. You've got Escobar, then you've got Chipper.
Yeah, you got to get a couple of guys on.
That one hammered deep to center, but the deepest part of the yard, and the Mets come from behind and win tonight by a final of 6-4. This one worked out exactly the way Jerry Manuel would have hoped it would. A very good starting effort for John Maine. Then Parnell, Putz, and K-Rod shut the door, and the Mets have already equaled their Atlanta win total of last year. Remember, they were 1-8 in this ballpark in 08. They're 1-0 in 09, and they win the first game of this brief series by a final score of 6-4. Joe.
Yeah, disappointing for the Braves because they jumped on Maine early, took advantage of those early walks, scored 3 runs, but the long ball caught up to Javier Vasquez, 2 by Beltran and 1 by Wright.
And what you hope doesn't happen is that the Mets do indeed find that intensity and find that edge. It would have been easy for them to fold the tens with Maine struggling so mightily, but the league's leading hitter Carlos Beltran took care of that with a monster game tonight. 6-4 your final. Back to the TED right after this.